What's going on there, everyone? Well, we got a huge breaking story that is going to be a continuing story. Jeffrey Epstein due in federal court after sex trafficking arrests. Preyed on young girls, prosecutors said. Now, this is a very interesting story because Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire who has a lot of connections, or so-called connections. So, this could be just the beginning of a huge case. But we will see. Let's go on with this. There's a picture of the guy. Scum of the earth. In an indictment alleging sex trafficking and sex trafficking conspiracy was unsealed Monday morning against billionaire, financier, and registered sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who is set to make his first appearance in New York City federal court later in the day. That's today. Prosecutors allege Epstein, the 66-year-old wealthy hedge fund manager arrested on Saturday, preyed on dozens of victims as young as 14 years old. Ugh. These victims described herein were as young as 14 years old at the time they were abused, and were for various reasons often particularly vulnerable to exploitations, prosecutors wrote in court documents. Epstein intentionally sought out minors and knew that many of his victims were in fact under the age of 18. Now just stop there for a second. This is another reason why border security and whatnot is so very important. Because a lot of the children that come over that border that are being sent here by the coyotes, this is what happens to them. Not saying that any of these particular people involving this case were in that situation, but we don't know yet. The FBI is not releasing a whole lot of detail on this as of yet. But this is another reason, just one more reason, that the border needs to be secured. I don't understand why the Democrats they come out as, oh, we do not want children to be harmed, this, that, and the other, but by allowing pretty much an open border policy, you are allowing children to be harmed, because this is the type of thing that a lot of those children get sold into, which is modern day slavery, and it's horrible. But back to the story. Epstein allegedly created and maintained a vast network and operations from 2002 up to and including at least 2005 that enabled him to sexually exploit and abuse dozens of underage girls, in addition to paying victims to recruit other underage girls. That is the face of pure evil right there. Pure evil. He's already been convicted once of similar, if not almost the exact same thing, where he was just horrifically given a lenient sentence of, I think, only like 13 months in jail and probably some fines, which is absurd to say the least. Prosecutors also allege Epstein worked and conspired with others, including employees and associates, who helped facilitate his contact by contacting victims and scheduling their sex encounters with the 66-year-old at his mansion in New York City and Palm Beach, Florida. At Epstein's multi-story mansion on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, prosecutors said that victims would be escorted to a room with a massage table where they would perform a massage on him. The victims, who were as young as 14 years of age, were told by Epstein and other individuals to partially or fully undress before beginning the massage, prosecutors wrote. During the encounter, Epstein would escalate the nature and scope of the physical contact with his victims to include, among other things, sex acts such as groping and indirect contact with the victim's genitals. Ugh. This is actually a hard story to read. Victims would be paid hundreds of dollars in cash by either Epstein or one of his associates or employees, according to prosecutors. The 66-year-old also allegedly incentivized his victims to become recruiters by paying the victims' recruiters hundreds of dollars for each girl brought to the billionaire. In so doing, Epstein maintained a steady supply of new victims to exploit, federal prosecutors say. Epstein is being held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, a federal jail near Manhattan Courthouse, where he is due to appear Monday afternoon. Federal prosecutors are set to announce details at a press conference that's going on right now as we speak. Attorney David Boies told Fox News on Sunday that he had expected more superseding indictments would be added. Boies said both public corruption unit and sex trafficking unit in New York worked the investigation. This is an important first step. Hopefully prosecutors will focus on some of Epstein's, co-conspirators going forward. That is what has a lot of very, very powerful people shaking in their boots. Because I'm sure he's not the only one who participated in these type of things. Boies told Fox News. Epstein, who once counted as friends former President Bill Clinton, that's a particular name that might... We all know how Bill Clinton was. This is all speculative, but he could have an issue. Britain's Prince Andrew and President Trump, both of those two, doubt knew what was going on there. But I am open to hear what the FBI finds out. Was arrested Saturday at an airport near New York City after his private jet touched down from France. Court documents obtained by Fox News in 2016 showed that Clinton took at least 26 trips flying aboard Epstein's private jet known as the Lolita Express, and apparently ditched his Secret Service detail on some of the excursions. And that's why I said Clinton might have an issue. Why would a former president ever really ditch his Secret Service people? Usually to try to cover for something, or to not be seen. That's creepy. All speculation, though. I am not saying that anybody from the Clintons did anything wrong here. We will all have our feelings on that, and I understand and get those feelings. Records showed Trump apparently flew on the jet at least once. However, his legal team more recently has denied the two were friends. Trump banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago estate because Epstein sexually assaulted an underage girl at the club, according to court documents filed by Bradley Edwards, the lawyer who represented several Epstein accusers. That claim has not been confirmed by Trump or Mar-a-Lago. However, Trump has previously cited the allegations against Epstein in interviews. Former federal prosecutor David Weinstein told the Associated Press that there's almost no chance Epstein will be allowed to go home after the hearing. I think they can hold him up to 3 days. Under federal court rules, prosecutors can keep the defendant locked up for 3 days, an extra 3 days, while preparing for bail hearing without needing a reason. If that happens in Epstein's case, it would mean a bail hearing on Thursday. The government is clearly seeking to have him detained, Weinstein said. Epstein's arrest came amid renewed scrutiny of a once secret plea deal that ended a federal investigation against him. That's the plea deal I was speaking of earlier, where it was 13 months and some other crap. I think it's going to go into it here. The deal, which has been challenged in Florida federal court, allowed Epstein, 66, to plead guilty to lesser state charges of soliciting and procuring a person under the age of 18. That right there, to me, for prostitution, that right there to me should damn near be a life sentence. Seems like a no-brainer. At the time, he would have been in his probably late 40s, early 50s. Yeah, he should have went to prison for a long time. That's disgusting. This guy is a predator. And the fact that they let him out to walk the streets again, someone should be held accountable for that. Averting a possible life sentence, Epstein instead was sentenced to 13 months in jail. The deal also required him reach financial settlements with dozens of his once teenage victims and register as a sex offender. That doesn't do nothing to a billionaire. You think that really hurt him? Obviously not. Obviously not. Epstein deal was overseen by former Miami U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta. Excuse me, my brain's going faster. Who knows who is now Trump's labor secretary. Acosta has defended the plea deal as inappropriate under the circumstances, although the White House said in February that it was looking into his handling of the deal. And we know that Trump will fire someone real quickly if he does not like the way they do things. But I don't know if he was ever fired. Doesn't seem like it. The deal, examined in detail in a series of reports in the Miami Herald, is being challenged in Florida federal court. U.S. District Judge Kenneth Mara of Florida ruled earlier this year that Epstein's victims should have been consulted under federal law about the deal, and he is now weighing whether to invalidate the deal. Absolutely invalidate that deal. That wasn't even a deal. The only person who got anything good out of it was Epstein himself, because he didn't have to do anything. You made a billionaire give out money. Okay, that didn't affect him. 13 months? Okay, that's nothing. That is nothing. I know people who have had driving violations and got more than 13 months for driving on a suspended license, which, wow, not even close to the same type of situation at all. It was not immediately clear whether that case and the new case involved the same victims, since nearly all have remained anonymous. But Weinstein told the AP that the deal only applied to federal prosecutors in the Southern District of Florida, whereas the current case is being pursued by the Southern District of New York. There is also no double jeopardy implications because Epstein's guilty plea involved only state crimes, while the current case involves federal law. Fox News, Tamara Gitt, Lisa Kaplan, Frank Miles, and Gregory and the Associated Press contributed to this report. But as you can see here, this guy doesn't care. He, I guess because he's a billionaire with a lot of very powerful friends, feels he is above the law. And this isn't just our law. This is the law of the land, in my opinion. You don't ever do anything to minors. You don't assault them, whether it's just for violence. You don't sexually assault them, for sure. That, to me, is why I believe in capital punishment. Yes, I believe in capital punishment. I am pro-life, but not when it comes to someone like that. When it comes to babies, absolutely, positively pro-life. But when it comes to adults who do things like this to children, absolutely not pro-life. They should be held. Oh. But yes, that's the story. What a sick, truly sick person we're dealing with here. He's been allowed through faulty prosecution to probably continue what he was doing. He's a billionaire. He can do what he wants. When you have that much money, you can literally get away with murder. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. But yeah, you can literally get away with almost anything. And it's scary that we live in a world like that, but we do. We do. This is something we deal with every day. Not just in this country, this is across the world. Across the world. And it's sad. And like I said about the border situation, this is one of the main reasons we need to not close, per se, the border, but we need to practically close it. Just to where, you know, the designated areas that are border crossings are the only ones people can come through. Because we can stop a lot of this. I'm sure it's not possible to stop all of it. It's literally an impossibility. But we can do something to at least try to lower the numbers or something. Something's got to be done because this is sick, foul, and disgusting. No matter how you look at it or who you are. This is just, it's a travesty. It's a travesty to humanity. Kids are the most precious things we have. They are our future. They are to be molded into great people. And people like this predator, can destroy kids. Can mentally and physically destroy the rest of their lives. But yeah, I think I've rambled enough about this. I'd love to hear your comments on it. And as always, like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the flip side.